For Tony Hall, from Ramabai Espinet, writer, Toronto. Tony and I met in an après-midi classroom at 16 and became lifetime friends. It was the 60s. San Fernando was a ferment of artistic and intellectual inquiry. The twin influence of Mavis and James Lewa was felt on the two Naprima hills at either end of the town, and overarching it all, the Drama Guild hugged us tight. We talked a lot, and argued and dreamed. The playwright Tony Hall emerged from this crucible, yes, but added to that was the one fine-tuned by his father, the inimitable Michael K. Hall, who lived and breathed his discipline of Latin with a finesse that must have transferred itself deeply to his two boy children, both finessing their individual paths with a similar precision. Tall, erect, and elegantly dressed, Michael K. Hall would throw his head back in our small class of 6 and laugh fully at our silly jokes, then bring us swiftly back into Horace or Tacitus with one invocation of the text. He possessed a perfect sense of timing, of dramatic intent. His two rebels, Tony, who never took his Latin class, and Dennis Spranglang, who at an early age exhibited an almost fanatical flair for the Creole language, could not but internalize M.K. Hall's finesse towards the absolute logic of wherever they directed their originality, their fearless originality. We were young and iconoclastic. In our A-level literature class, an eccentric English teacher pounced one day without warning, demanding that each of us 20-some students recite a poem from memory. No prep. Anthony Hall's ticker tape went off in the direction of sabotage. A round robin was invoked, and we heard To Be or Not to Be, the Daffodils, of course, and even Richard III's desperate cry, "Horse! A horse! My kingdom for a horse!" Eventually, Tony's turn came, and he strode to the front of the class, took his time, and announced his recitation, "O Be a Wedding," by the Mighty Sparrow. Not exactly iambic, but he wrestled those pentameters into standard poetic form as we knew it. "You are making yourself a pappy show, Melda. You are making yourself a bloody clown, up and down the country looking for Obia, and your perspiration smells so strong. Girl, you're only wasting time. Obia wedding bells don't chime, and you can't catch me with necromancy." A deadpan stare accompanied his delivery of the entire calypso, verse by verse. The giggling from the class continued until at the line, "Some kunu-munu, bong to say I do," we erupted into loud laughter and cheers. Our English teacher, the eccentric character we had nicknamed Beam, was moved to bawl at us, "Yes, that is a poem." The Jouvay process in action even then. How I'll miss you, Tony Hall. I'll miss you, Tony. Thank you for being in my life.
Well, thank you all for having me here, particularly the organizers for insisting that I be here. I'm supposed to be able to project. Yeah, my name is Tony Hall. I come from Lord Street, San Fernando, hence the name of my theater company, Lord Street Theatre Company. When we first came out in 1990, there was a kind of a commotion around the idea of the name, and some people wondered if I wanted to be a peer. No, Lord Street is where we grew up. Lord Street is where we learned about Mass. Lord Street is where we learned about Carnival. And if you know Lord Street in San Fernando, you would know that it's a theater. It's a street that connects the Perro Street, which is high, Mocrapo Street, which is low, And on Carnival Day, if you stand on Sepero Street and you look down Lord Street, you see carnival bands going up towards what used to be the town hall when I was young. It's really City Hall now. Or if you're on Mokarapo Street and you're looking up the Lord Street Hill to Sepero Street, you see the sailor bands going. But along the way on Lord Street, there are bleachers, rum shops, my doctor. Because people, when I was 6, I used to suffer from asthma, and my doctor was right there. The name of the most famous bar on Lord Street was Vietnam, and anytime you could just look in and get some expertise on conflict. I want to talk about it said the masquerade in Trinidad is really what I call the Jouvay Popular Theatre Process, which is a way or an approach to play and performance that we use or we employ or has engaged us to do whatever we do. And we could work from the street to the stage, to the screen, to the beach, under a waterfall. We go where we are drawn to. So I'll talk a little bit about where the Jouvay Popular Theatre Process comes from and try to get to talk about 2 projects, Miss Miles and Performing Marcus Garvey. I may only get to Miss Miles. I really want to get to Miss Miles because there's some interesting connections to the 1970s and the Black Power Revolution through the whistleblower Jean Miles and what she encountered trying to uncover corruption in the very nationalistic new People's National Movement government of Eric Williams in the late 60s and early 70s. But first, Jouvay. And most of you know Jouvay. Part of what the Jouvay Popular Theatre Process is about is uncovering what seems submerged or what may be submerged. Is the idea that when you look at the sunset or you look at the sunrise and you think you know what's there. But the minute you say, there is a beautiful sunrise, you're cut off from it. Yeah? And the poet tries to connect us back. Yes? Part of what JPTP is or tries to be is to find ways to discover what seems obvious, but you really don't know what it is. You can cover it up with words, not because you can describe something or define something, you know what it is. Yes? So we begin. But no day dawns for the slave, nor is it looked for. It is all night, night forever. This comes from a document, a narrative of real life by a slave who is in a convoy in North America going across the snow. They've been taken from one end to the other. And he writes, he was a reverend when he wrote this. Obviously he had been free into Christianity. So it's all night, night forever. And one of the things I thought when I encountered that quote was that the Jouvay is the exact answer to that. Yes, what the ancestors gave us in the Jouvay is the exact answer. But most of our notion of Jouvay is that this party and noise and friction and and free up and free up. And it's interesting, that phrase free up. Yeah, because in a sense, the way it is treated is a new kind of enslavement. Yeah? So I just want to go through a couple of things that we looked at initially when we were trying to formulate what we were supposed to be doing. First, we talked about emancipation as an organizing principle and freedom as an elusive concept. And emancipation, we try to reorient ourselves around this idea of emancipation. Because we all talk about emancipation as we're emancipated. Yes? Now what? What does that mean? Right? So when we talk about emancipation as an organizing principle, we're starting to talk about an ongoing self-emancipation process. Yes? And the business of freedom. Freedom is a very, very, very pointless word. Meaningless, actually. inside of all the activity coming out of emancipation, there is the stick fight. We call it a gentle warriorhood. The Gatka Kalinda school is how the Africans and East Indians played the stick meetings. The Cambole and the Husserl riots were the meetings or riots, if you want, confrontations with authorities in which the stick fight was in very much the main tool of negotiation. And then we come to Jouvay. And if you look at this J-O-U-R-O-U-V-E-R-T, J''O-U-V-E-R-T, J-O-U-V-E-R-T, down to J-O-U-V-A-Y, there's a process of realization. Coming from the French to what is in fact a concept of seeing, a way of seeing, a way of being, a way of living. That is what we say the Jouvay is. And if we break down the actual Jouvay morning, there's a moment at Jouvay morning when, for those of you, you obviously know, I don't know why I'm telling you this, when it's neither night nor day. Neither day is neither light nor dark. Right? So it's that transition moment, that magic moment when in fact the separation that says I am me, and you are you, that we separate, dissolves and we become one. And that's very important. Everything we do starts from that. Everything we do starts from this idea of dissolving the personal, yes, and becoming the collective. Yes? That's very important. And what is happening now in neuroscience is we're being justified in this. Yes? So Jouvay. And every time I write Jouvay, all the government people and so on say you spelled it wrong. And then there's the masquerade, mas-leela. Something we can't forget in Trinidad, that the Ram-leela was the very first organized theater. And what does leela mean? Play. Right? Play. All interaction is play. For us, play and performance are central. Play and performance are all play and performance is what we all do. Yes? There's no denigration in playing. If you don't play, you cannot write like Brian Meeks. What he's doing there, he's playing. Yes? That's how it works. And then, so we get the play and performance, a way of life. But performance, if we break down the word, is dissolving form. Yes? This is how the form disappears, and this is how whatever is happening dissolves back into what is the total reality. Yes, I remember as 5 years old, a dog was run over. In fact, my dog was run over outside on the road, and I didn't pick it up. I didn't remove it. It was not garbage, so I left it. And cars ran over it and ran over it and ran over it and ran over it and ran over it. And after 4 days, there was nothing. Where did it go? Form disappears. Form and formlessness. Yes? So, a way of life dissolving form in what we have come to call a dialectic of action. And dialectic comes from Sutton, the play theorist, and he talks about, where is it? Right. He talks about dialectic coming out of the nature of play, a dynamic duality of contending forces. So dialectic is a portmanteau of dialectic and ludic. Yeah? So play, performance, and ultimately popular theatre, those two words, popular theatre, are in a dialectic with each other. And coming from Michael Editon, the idea of popular means participation. Theatre is art, so it's participatory art. But if they're in a dialectic, it means that the more you participate, the better the art. But participation is politics. So the more you participate, the better the politics. So it means the better the art, the better the politics. Yes? Very important. Now, all of this I'm saying, I am learning from the mass, from the carnival, from what I'm understanding, what I'm seeing happening in the mass in terms of the interactions. Yes? Play and let me go back. You don't tell me when I'm supposed to stop.
You got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Well, let me go forward then. Right, and all of this leads us to emancipation. Emancipation, as I say, as the organizing principle. So in this dialectic, what Marcus Garvey said was emancipate yourself from mental slavery. He set up a very interesting contention there because on the one hand, when we say that, and most people who say that and sing it after Bob Marley believe they understand exactly what is being said. It is very clear. But if you read the neuroscientists and you check your own brain, you would understand that mental slavery is a human condition. And you never emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Sorry, folks, sorry to bring the bad news. But more important than that, what Garvey set up with this idea that emancipation is a self-liberating process, an ongoing way of life, a way of observing other people's freedom and being witness to their freedom and understanding that once they are free, the only way you can be free. Very important. So play and performance, the dialectic of action, and overall, in our process, is to convert reforms of personal conscience into collective codifications of public good, which we get from Lloyd Bell. Let me run quick, and because we break down what I'm saying into a workshop, and the stages of the workshop have to do with what we pull out from playing mass. And one of the most important elements of playing mass is confrontation and participation. We have these contradictions. Confront, like when a midnight robber or a blue devil confronts you, it is not for you to run away, but for you to participate. So it's confrontation and participation. Yes? Resistance and affirmation. By resisting, you're affirming. In most kind of spiritual whatever, they tell you not to resist. Yeah, you got say yes. Yeah, but this is saying yes with an internal no. Yeah. So I want to run quick to Jean Miles. Jean Miles was a civil servant, fashionista in the 1960s, 1970s, a very nationalist P&M campaigner. She was a supporter of Eric Williams. She campaigned with the party. She discovered that there was corruption going on. Ministers of industry were making deals with the oil companies for gas station licenses, giving their friends gas station licenses. What emerged is that on 3 blocks, there'd be a gas station on each block. She discovered this. She got all the documents. She had it in a drawer. She caused a commission of inquiry to happen. And to cut a long story short, she ended up in a madhouse, drunk on the street. It is said that she actually died on the street. But that story is, I don't know. We made a play in 2011, which many people, including her family, did not want us to do. So we had to go through a whole process to get to this point. And the notion was that the play would be about a prostitute. The sort of common notion. The idea behind the play, first to begin, the play was built using our process, even though it was just one actress. The amount of interviews, the kind of self-searching that went on. The process we use is that you have to tell stories. You have to tell stories sometimes about your own life. I remember a time when, and in the story, there's a point, usually a point at which there's something that you want to achieve, that there's some obstacle that prevents you from achieving this, or you never achieve it. And the idea is at that juncture, there's an energy. And that energy can manifest itself as a character. And this way, you're dealing with whatever is recessed here that hasn't come up, but at the same time, it is exposed, but it's exposed as living energy. And the actress doing the part discovered that in many ways her life paralleled Jean Miles' life as a Afro-Portuguese Trinidadian woman, single woman, whose father was also a whistleblower. So there was an interesting process that went through the rehearsal where she was discovering Jean Miles to play Jean Miles, but she was also discovering herself because she was dealing with the same social, political, and psychological context in which Jean found herself. This placard is an actual placard from Jean, who was a mass player. This is what she looked like, but Jean was a mass player. So we felt we had to take Jean back to the street. Jean is going back to the street. So this is the mask. Miss Miles, the band called Mass Corruption 2014, in the manner of traditional mask, is based on seeing this as a new character on the list of traditional mask characters. The elegant, defiant Miss Miles, the woman of the world. This mask called the woman of the world was played by the whistleblower for all season, Jean Miles himself. In other words, she played a woman called the woman of the world. Yes? And I don't know, these things happen, yes? And so the idea behind the band was this. We told the masqueraders, you will perform your own political resistance to corruption through playing your own Miss Miles. A short drama presented in the Guile along the way will dance the struggle Miss Miles waged against corruption throughout her life. Right? This is a mass in search of silence and stillness. It's a hell of a thing to be in search of on Carnival Day. Mass is found in the search. This mass is the threshold to the center. Miss Miles washes away the corrupted self. So in other words, you're asking people to pay to come to play a mass, to go through a whole thing. And how they go through that? They're given these placards with corruption on it, and then they can write whatever they want to write on it. And we do the whole process where we meet the day before Carnival, and you go through this whole thing. So you're not just whatever. And you're completely covered. You're completely covered, and that's important in the whole process of the mass, in the whole process of losing the self. So compared to what you know as mass in the capitalistic whatever, where you play yourself, in this mass you don't play yourself. Because my question has always been, what is this self you're playing? Where it coming from, and playing it to what end? Yes? My mass, or what I understand as mass, on the Lord Street, is you cover yourself completely and you lose yourself in that. That when you look out through the mask at everybody, you become one with everybody. This disappears. Yeah? Okay, I have to stop.
Thank you, Tony.
Just some pictures. There's a whole story behind the banner. The banner's really clotheslines, you know? Clothes blowing in the thing. There's a whole story behind that. And doesn't this look, those of you who know Jimi Hendrix, you go back to the 70s, I played Jimi Hendrix once in a play. Does this look like when in Woodstock he says, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky"? And Jean Miles kissing the sky. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony.